We may be seated. Honorable members, thank you for a short break for lunch. I will now call on the Premier of the Northwest to present the Office of the Premier Budget Speech Vote 1. Honorable Mokhosi, you have 40 minutes.
No, Honorable Speaker, good afternoon, and I can see why I was left to be the last. Small department, small budget, now I should be the last, and it's called an office, but it's fine. Thank you very much. Honorable Speaker, Desbo Mohono, Sebonda Sam Masona, Honorable Deputy Speaker Tsepo Khoza, members of the Executive Council present here today, Chief Whip of the Majority Party, chairpersons of portfolio committees, leaders of the opposition parties, chairperson of the House of Traditional and Khoisan Leaders, chairperson of Salga Northwest, executive mayors and mayors present here today, Director General of the province, provincial heads of departments, municipal managers, executive and senior managers in the public service, ladies and gentlemen, Bagaitso Dumelang. Honorable Speaker, the tabling of this budget speech coincides with a very important month in the calendar of the country's post-democratic dispensation. During this month, we remember our international icon, struggle, veteran, and the country's first democratically elected president, Nelson Mandela, who was born on the 18th of July, 1918. His vision for a united, non-racial, non-sexist, prosperous and democratic country continues to serve as a source of inspiration in creating a better life for all. His resilience, strength, and the ability to forgive has taught the world the language of peace. We continue to borrow from his wisdom to be of service to humanity. Honorable members, Madiba's solution-oriented leadership qualities must encourage all of us to fight the scourge of poverty and inequality, bedeviling our developmental trajectory. Poverty, as Nelson Mandela once remarked, is man-made, and I quote, can be overcome by the actions of human beings, close quote. Honorable Speaker, our province suffers from high unemployment and poverty levels, which have an adverse impact in many parts of our communities. The fourth quarter labor survey of 2023-2024 financial year paints a grim picture about unemployment in this province, which currently hovers around 52.2% as per the expanded definition. Women and youth continue to be at the receiving end of this conundrum. The dignity of unemployment and poverty can arguably be blamed for the multi-layered social challenges of crime, drug abuse and substance abuse, as well as gender-based violence and femicide, amongst others. Honorable members, we are happy to inform the House that we have appointed members of the Premier's Economic and Investment Advisory Council. The council comprises of members of the Executive Council, Labour and the private sector. The inaugural meeting of the council will be convened by the Premier in August. The full plan of action for the council and its economic focus areas will be outlined in the opening of the legislature this week. Honorable members, the Office of the Premier is responsible for coordination of interventions for all designated groups, youth, women, and people with disability. Our focus for this financial year is to scale up and massify all interventions aimed at alleviating youth unemployment, as well as advancing initiatives aimed at empowerment of women and people with disabilities. The office has entered into several strategic partnerships which will be implemented in the current financial year with partners in the skills development sector, SETAs, private sector bodies to expand our services in bursaries, internships, learnerships, work integrated learning, and other formal skills development programs. We are committed to the implementation of the call we made earlier this year to open up the public sector for work opportunities, and in particular for young people. In the current financial year, the Office of the Premier will introduce what is called targeted centralized recruitment for identified entry-level posts earmarked for the youth, unemployed graduates, and certain critical skills and specialization. We have a budget of 13,954,250 rands for procurement of goods and services from small businesses led by women, youth, and people living with disabilities. We will also increase our monitoring to ensure that all provincial departments and state-owned entities do business with companies owned and led by people from designated groups. Honorable Speaker, the province is not doing very well in terms of achieving the employment target of 2% for persons with disabilities. By the end of the financial year, 2023-2024, the average disability employment equity percentage was sitting at 0.5% when compared to the national target of 3%. So we are not doing very well. We need to up the game. In this financial year, the office will increase our monitoring for strict compliance with the directives and other interventions measures aimed at reaching the 3% target as directed by Cabinet to progressively realize the 7% target by 2030. Besides, the province will also coordinate the Disability Rights Month program, including commemoration of the International Disability Rights Day, with different social partners to measure the level of commitment in the provision of services to this sector. Musa Khotla, le tlaku le lesha le agelwa mo go le legologolo. We are happy with the work done by our senior citizens in championing a number of progress of elderly people under the guidance and the leadership of the Northwest Older Persons Forum. Our senior citizens participated in the National Anti-Aging Program at Mpumalanga, where they obtained position 1. We will be hosting the 2024 National Anti-Aging Activities Program, and for these preparations have already been initiated. Re solofela gore bašwa ba tla ithuta go le gontsi le go tsaya karolo mo tlhabololong ya loago le maele a boeteledipele ka kakaretso. Honorable members, we are saddened by the death of 3 elderly people who lived at an old age home in Jericho village in Madibeng local municipality. We urge the police to investigate circumstances relating to this unfortunate incident and bring closure to families, friends, and their loved ones. I also wish to urge our non-governmental and non-profit organization to comply with the law when operating these facilities and to always seek the guidance of the Department of Social Development under the stewardship of Honorable Susana Danch. Madam Speaker, I wish to report to this House that we are making progress in the implementation of interventions to uplift our veterans. In the last financial year, through our collaboration with the National Department of Human Settlement and Military Veterans, we approved the construction of 112 houses for our veterans across the 4 districts in our province. 13 units covering Khanyesa, Tlakameng, Mabela, Pudi, and Bapong are nearing completion and will be handed over to beneficiaries once completed. Honorable members, the Provincial Council on AIDS is up and running and considered one of the best, if not leading, PCA compared to other provinces. We have been able to coordinate and bring together various stakeholders in our collective response to HIV, TB, and STIs. Our efforts are yielding desired results, and for the past 3 years, we have recorded a downward spiral in HIV infections with a decline of 1.7% in the last financial year. The Northwest is leading in the end-term review of 2017 to 2022, giving impetus to the development of the 23-28 Provincial Implementation Plan, PIP, on HIV and AIDS, STI and TB. We will ensure that this plan trickles down to all 4 districts of the province. Honorable members, the Office of the Premier carries the policy and legislative mandate to lead the planning, monitoring, and evaluation of the province. It's our core function. There is little or nothing that can be achieved in our planning is not sound and backed up by workable strategies to achieve our goals. The Office of the Premier will invest its energies on enhancing monitoring and evaluation processes to guarantee the effective implementation of both national and provincial priorities by various government departments and entities. Madam Speaker, a total of 1.5 million rand will be assigned to enhance provincial monitoring and evaluation systems to continue to assess annual performance plan of departments, thus ensuring that service delivery remains an integral part of our government priorities. The Office of the Premier is collaborating with the National Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation to ensure that all sector department plans and budgets are aligned to the national and provincial policy priorities of government. In this financial year, we will see to the full implementation of the revised integrated planning framework that will assist departments, state-owned entities, and municipalities to align their plans and processes to meet the developmental goals of the province. The Office of the Premier is also working with Stats SA on an integrated indicator framework to assist the province to develop its own indicators in line with the strategic objectives of the Medium-Term Development Plan, the MTDP, for the 7th administration. Madam Speaker, we are working hard to clean the public service to ensure that the right people with the right ethical conduct are employed with the right skills and qualifications. The Office of the Premier will intensify its provincial monitoring function to ensure that good governance practices and pre-screening exercise for all staff members in our provincial departments are being implemented to check criminal and financial records, as well as verification of qualifications and previous employment. Honorable members, the process to review the organizational structure of the Office of the Premier is currently underway, and it is anticipated to be concluded by the end of September 2024 for full implementation in the year 2025-2026 financial year. The reviewed structure will be fit for purpose, cost-effective, and give effect to the ESCO resolution to place the office as a central coordinating point of the provincial administration to drive policy and hold departments accountable. That's what we want to achieve with the structure. Put the Premier's office central to government in this province. Speaker, government communications is critical to keep our residents informed of the various developmental initiatives, policy pronouncement, and service delivery intervention measures. In the current financial year, we will strengthen and expand our digital platforms as to keep up with the changing communication landscape. We will build our relationships with the mainstream and community media as important partners to close the information gap with the public. Honorable members, progress towards an interruption-free provision of information and communication technology is on track. This is primarily aimed at attending to some information technology mainstream outages, which often leads to delays in the payment of service providers, specifically on financial management and reporting in general. We take this opportunity to apologize to our residents in relation to these challenges. The task team appointed by the Premier jointly with SETA is hard at work to find a lasting solution to this matter. During this financial year, we'll finally see the province migrating to an advanced mainframe system to ensure a seamless ICT system, which is vital for service delivery. Bagaich, in the next few weeks, the Office of the Premier will convene an ESCO planning Lekgotla, which will map a way forward for the 7th administration of the Northwest Province provincial government. The ESCO planning Lekgotla will guide departments and municipalities on priorities of the 7th administration and integrate our plans with policy focus area determined by the Government of National Unity through the medium-term development plan. Honorable members, the Office of the Premier is delegated the performance and coordination of international relations mandate under the guidance of the National Minister. The province will foster relations with other nations of the world to renew and establish relations with various countries to reposition the Northwest as an investment destination. In September this year, I will lead a mission to China where I will sign a memorandum of understanding with the Henan province of China. This will be followed by missions to South Korea and Thailand, where the province will conclude the work done by the 6th administration after the trade and investment seminar was deferred. Bagaitso, Botswana and Zambia are important strategic neighbors with strong political, economic, and cultural ties to our province. We will continue to work closely with our neighbors to address the issues of the Zamazama in the Dr. K.K. district and look at ways to bolster our economy and improve the livelihoods of our people while contributing towards the regional and continental integration. Honorable Speaker, the Office of the Premier is proud to present the high-level overview of its performance from a financial point of view, 2023-2024. Key observations are the following. 1, Office of the Premier continued to register an unqualified audit opinion for the fourth consecutive year since 2019-2020 financial year. For the previous financial year, this was achieved with reduced audit findings. This improved trend gives us confidence, Madam Speaker, that we are on the right trajectory towards a clean audit. Yang Kanka, Madam Speaker. The total spending of the office at the end of the year under review amounted to 93% of the total budget of 471,201,000 rand, as it was appropriated by this House. The office continues to maintain its non-incurrence of any unauthorized and irregular expenditure. This is certainly a positive sign in the cash flow management. The office has approved its preferential procurement policy that guides its strategic sourcing during the year under review. This overall performance, Madam Speaker, is a clear demonstration of a concerted effort by the office to execute its mandate to the people of the Northwest Province. Madam Speaker, in pursuing to implement the annual performance plan tabled in this August House, I request the appropriation to vote 1, Office of the Premier, as outlined here under. Program 1, Administration, 125,322,000 rand. Program 2, Institutional Development, 253,589,000 rand. Program 3, Policy and Governance, 101,225,000 rand. In total, 480,136,000 rand. In conclusion, I would like to extend my gratitude to the Honorable Speaker and Deputy Speaker for granting me this opportunity to table this budget speech. My appreciation also goes to the honorable members of the Executive Council, honorable members of the opposition, as well as Makhosi Arona a Tlotlegang a Bokoni Bophirima. Madam Speaker, let me also thank the Director General, Executive and Senior Management of the Office of the Premier and the staff complement of the Office of the Premier for the dedication and continued commitment to their responsibilities. Ke leboga ka bojotlhe jwa pelo ya me le ba lelapa laka gore ba ba ntshekegile go itlhella fa mo tsatsing la gompieno. Lastly, in my appreciation, it goes to the African National Congress and the entire ANC-PC alliance partners, members and supporters of the mass democratic movement. As we continue to forge ahead with creating sustainable livelihoods for our people, let me leave you with these words of the founding father of our nation, Nelson Mandela, and I quote, "Overcoming poverty is not a gesture of charity. It is an act of justice. It is the protection of a fundamental human right, the right to dignity and a decent life. The dire poverty of some is not an affliction which impacts negatively on the whole humanity, including those who live in conditions of comfort and plenty." I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Premier. I now call on the Chairperson of Portfolio Committee on Premier and Finance, Honorable Tlhapi, to lead the debate on Committee Report on Office of the Premier Annual Performance Plan 2024-2025. Honorable Tlhapi.
Madam Speaker, Deputy Speaker, the Chief Whip, members of the Legislature, executive members, Honorable Premier Ntate Makhosi Arona a Bokoni Bophirima, batho ba Bokoni Bophirima dumelang. Madam Speaker, let me welcome the policy statement presented by the Honorable Premier and wish him well on this journey in making sure that all the departments are going to be monitored and provide services to our people. Honorable Speaker, the Portfolio Committee also noted and deliberated on the annual performance plan of the Office of the Premier 2024-2025. However, the following concerns were raised by honorable members. The committee also appreciates the quality of the report that the Office of the Premier presented. The committee indicated that the Office of the Premier is a center of coordinating government departments. However, the office failed to market the milestone achievement done in the entire country, such as a national chair for older persons forum. I'm happy the Honorable Premier has touched on that one. The committee requests clarity on the type of intervention made by the Office of the Premier on the funded vacant post, as it creates more burden to the employees. The committee also wanted to know a turnaround time to approve all funded vacant posts responding to the department requests. The committee, Honorable Speaker, also raised a concern that the Office of the Premier does not comply with the Employment Equity Act. While it's supposed to hire 3% of the persons with disability, they instead hire them on the percentage of 2.8. The committee also want to know to what extent is the cost containment measures affected the recruitment processes of filling funded vacant posts. The committee also requests an update on what is still outstanding or to be done on the Provincial Growth and Development Strategy Program, because this is a key to unlock our economy in the province. Madam Speaker, the committee also wants to know if there is any center or unit whereby the Office of the Premier monitor the compliance of 60 days threshold in precautionary suspension in the departments, and if corrective measures in the public service is done fairly and within the right time frame. The committee also raised a concern that the APP of 2024-25 is not clear how they are going to address or to solve the challenges of ICT in the province in order to enhance service delivery, which we all know that this is a crisis, and all of us from the province, we understand the challenges that we are facing on the issue of the ICT. So the committee want to know what is going to happen. Do you have any plan or what? The committee highlighted that some of the targets are the same as previous financial year 2023 and 2024, and those targets has underperformed. Based on the deliberations that the committee has done with the Office of the Premier, Madam Speaker, the recommendations from the Portfolio Committee are as follows. The Office of the Premier must submit a detailed report on the establishment of the forensic unit and the implementation of forensic reports conducted since the fourth administration to date. The office must also submit approved structure of each department and indicate their targets in terms of their structure. The Office of the Premier should have a plan on how they operate with regard to the target of the employment, equity, and economic empowerment. The Office of the Premier should also submit a plan on how they are unfolded and address the issues of the ICT in the province. The report on a plan for the provincial youth development programs. They must also submit the report on the status of the ICT infrastructure in the province. The Office of the Premier must also submit a consolidated report on all funded vacant posts in the province. The office must also submit a comprehensive report on concluded and pending cases that was done by Anti-Corruption Unit in the 2023 and 2024 financial year. Madam Speaker, those are the recommendations that we want to submit to your House. The committee hereby, Madam Speaker, recommends that the House adopt the annual performance plan and the budget of the Office of the Premier for the 2024-2025 financial year. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Does the House adopt this report? Thank you very much. Honorable members, I will now call to the podium Honorable Sibeko on behalf of the African National Congress, 9 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Premier, Honorable members of Executive Council, members of Provincial Legislature, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable Speaker, this debate takes place exactly 5 days after we celebrated the Nelson Mandela Day on the 18th of July. This year, we mark the Nelson Mandela Day as our country ushers in the 7th democratic administration, following the successful conclusion of the 2024 national and provincial elections. This presents an opportunity to realign our collective energies to build the country we envisioned, and the start of democracy, which includes taking care of the most vulnerable in our midst and providing hope for a better tomorrow. The month of July, South Africa celebrates former President Nelson Mandela's birthday. 18 July has been declared Nelson Mandela International Day, but as South Africans, we embrace the chance to celebrate Nelson Mandela's life for the whole of July. This gives everyone the opportunity to hit the call to action for people to recognize their individual power to make an imprint and change the world around them. This year's Nelson Mandela International Day on 18 July has been celebrated under the theme, "It's still in our hands to combat poverty and inequality." Nelson Mandela, in addressing the scourge of poverty, said, like slavery and apartheid, poverty is not natural. It is man-made, and it can be overcome and eradicated by actions of human beings. These inspirational words by former President Nelson Mandela are a stark reminder that we must do more to fight the scourge of poverty and inequality. Honorable Speaker, South Africa stands on cusp due to the shifting political landscape in the country. The resilience and determination of successive ANC government have guided our collective efforts over the last 3 decades to fundamentally change our country for the better, and we stand at the center of the work we do now to build a better life for all. The ANC's jobs plan and initiated in the 2024 national and provincial elections seeks to address the rising tide of unemployment, especially amongst the youth sector, with a bias towards women and people living with disability. By putting South Africa to work presupposes that more work must be done to absorb more people into the mainstream economy and sustain 2.5 million work opportunities delivering goods and services in communities. This includes work done through the Presidential Employment Stimulus, funding to civil society through non-profit companies and organizations to provide work opportunities, expand and institutionalize the National Youth Service in partnership with SNTF, and work opportunities for unemployment graduates, increase support for all small enterprises, entrepreneurs and cooperatives, especially in townships and villages, providing 1 million work opportunity with set aside for women, youth, and persons with disability. It is on this score that we call on the Office of the Premier to coordinate efforts to empower women and people with disability, to ensure inclusion and integration into the economy. We also implore the office to ensure that government procurement value chain includes doing business with companies and enterprises owned by women, persons with disability. Whilst the percentage on the other group have increased markedly, it is concerning that the percentage on people with disability remains same as at 3%, and it is our view that this anomaly should be corrected. Investing in people is at the heart of maximizing a lot of our people as it addresses the high incidences of poverty, unemployment, and inequality that afflict our people. This has the ripple effect of holding back our democratic gains, as the impact on the expanded rate of unemployment is quite disastrous. It is quite pleasing to note that tremendous efforts are being made to change the complexion or the outlook of the Office of the Premier, especially in its hierarchy and or to echelons of the decision-making structures. This in view of the fact that the number of senior management, which commonly called SMS, posts in the public service, especially of women, have increased, and this will help in balancing the ratio of gender representation on SMS posts in the Office of the Premier. The issue of vacant funded posts in all provincial departments have not been addressed by various provincial departments, and this is a serious problem which needs to be attended to. The matter relating to the disciplinary cases in the provincial department is a problem. Officials who are on progressionary suspensions and are undergoing disciplinary process are sitting at home drawing salaries from the state, with their cases dragging from the longest as far as 2, 3, 5, even 8 years without being completed. We are also of the belief that these disciplinary cases must be completed in time so that the state does not lose money while people sitting at home doing nothing. South Africa has a duty to appreciate and take care of its military veterans who fought against apartheid and those who went in service of the nation after 1994. The military veterans' challenges of houses and other benefits remain a teething problem which needed to be addressed urgently. We are deeply troubled by the snail progress being made by office in making sure that the welfare of the military veterans is being attended to. So we really are pleading with Premier that this must be part of the priorities. We also welcome the initiative of the Office of the Premier in coordinating training of the Emerging Market Initiative in partnership with Microsoft South Africa for 40 IT master trainers to capacitate young people on IT and related skills through international business matching, normally called IBM. We ask the Office of the Premier to expedite the approval of the provincial growth strategy to enable the province to have blueprint on economic growth. We also note from the Premier's speech of the appointment of Premier's Economic and Investment Advisory Council to facilitate the development and implementation of economic policy that spur inclusive growth. We welcome this important body in that it will enhance the work being undertaken to build a capable state as demanded by the National Development Plan. The Council will also be instrumental in building a knowledge base of policy and implementation lessons, best practice and fielded tested success stories. There's a problem of optimization of service delivery through the implementation of information communication technology, commonly known as ICT. This perceived lack of attaining the required outcome in the implementation of the ICT impacts negatively in the provision of services within the province. There has been a lackadaisical approach by the provincial department in the implementation of the National Anti-Corruption Strategy. The desired outcome was to improve public confidence and trust in the work that the government is doing and its institutions, but this does not seem to get favor with public service officials. The implementation of this strategy was to deal with incidences of corruption and malfeasance in the provincial government. And it is on this score, Honorable Premier, that the office must continue with efforts to establish anti-corruption unit and implement measures that will enhance the running of the provincial government. As I move towards conclusion, Honorable Premier, we wish to commend the provincial government in the building of schools, libraries, houses, and roads. Building of this infrastructure enable our children to learn in safe and conducive environment. Honorable Speaker, we have entered the 7th administration and continue the journey to make this vision a reality of making our province a better place to live by eradicating slums, mud houses, and extricate our people from the jaws of poverty, unemployment, and inequality. We are reminded of the words of Nelson Mandela, who said that after climbing a hill, one only finds that there are many more hills to climb. Like Madiba, we must keep moving, always forward, always onwards, towards the country of our dream, always believing that victory is certain. We support and adopt the budget vote of Office of the Premier 2024-2025. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Sibihwa. As I call to the podium, Honorable Moema from the EFF, 10 minutes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. The Office of the Premier is in a habit of making the same commitments annually without ever fulfilling them. Your predecessor, who very excitedly completed the term of the 6th administration, will go as far as exaggerating commitments to sound more relevant, but also to mask up the dust to mask the dust he has caused to the office's budget. Honorable Speaker, unemployment is one of the most heart-wrenching plights we are faced with as a province. However, your office seems to be taking it lightly by blatantly lying about having created jobs, even when statistics indicates otherwise, that as a province we are leading insofar as unemployment is concerned. In 2023, Premier Mape assured our people that he will create a total of over 50,000 jobs by end of the year. Earlier this year, Acting Premier Malloy confirmed that 61,000 jobs were created by the third quarter of 2023. This was clearly untrue because during that very same quarter, the province recorded the highest unemployment rate in the country. When asked about it, the Acting Premier stated that the population of the province had increased. The Acting Premier later returned and claimed to have created 18,000 jobs. Upon investigation, it was discovered that these jobs are EPWP contracts that operate in a 6-month intervals with a stipend of between 2,000 and 3,000 and are being used by the provincial government to create tenders for purchasing of uniforms and equipment so that they can get kickbacks in return. Honorable Speaker, commitments have been made regarding special economic zones and the renovation of airports in the province over the years. This list now includes the Mafikeng Student City project that was supposedly intended to provide 10,000 beds and have modern amenities like a fitness center and retail facilities. Such a grandeur idea that was sprang on our youth when they thought they were just standing in a long queues to drop off their CVs and see Makazi perform. Less than a month ago, the former Acting Premier enticed our people with another grandeur gesture in the form of the N14 mega city and elevated water storage tanks program in Ventersdorp. This 2.6 billion project was said to be launched in mid-July and will create 6,600 jobs for local people. After all kinds of dust was caused regarding the launching of this project. To date, not even a single stone has been turned in this site. Honorable Speaker, the former Acting Premier stood before this August House and told us about a solar plant that will be developed by government in Ditsobot and will create jobs in the area, only to find that the project is a joint venture by many different private companies. The Premier wanted to claim it is a provincial government initiative, but his lies were exposed once again. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Speaker, the Office of the Premier has a duty to hold its cabinet accountable for the poor performance of departments. This is one duty from which the Office of the Premier has permanently deleted itself, which is evident from the silence it chooses to exercise when community members are protesting, throwing fences outside of municipal buildings and halting the operations of schools and businesses as an expression of their frustration with the failure of the government departments to provide basic services. Crime in the province is increasing at alarming rates and threatening the safety of community members. And the relevant department is failing to intervene, but the Office of the Premier is equally remaining mum on the matter. Honorable Speaker, since this office is clearly incapable of fulfilling its duties, as the EFF, we have taken it upon our councils to provide suggestions to the Office of the Premier on how it can stop embarrassing us. For job creation, the Office of the Premier must turn the province into a large industrial zone, which will ensure that a minimum of 50% of all mineral resources of the province are locally beneficiated and processed, that food for local consumption is produced and processed in the province, and that special economic zones are established in different parts of the province. It must also ensure that 3-shift system is introduced to allow the economy to operate for 24 hours without overworking employees and it will also create more jobs. The Office of the Premier must establish a mining development and beneficiation school in Rustenburg by the end of 2028 to provide a permanent and local solution to training and development for the mining sector. Honorable Speaker, the Office of the Premier, together with relevant departments, must heavily invest in research and development by adding the item as a compulsory program to all APPs and subsidize groundbreaking innovations. And this must be achievable. This is achievable from the 2025-2026 financial year. These are only a few suggestions of how the executive can make meaningful changes to the status of the province. As spearheaded by the Office of the Premier, until then, as the EFF, we cannot support this budget, and therefore we reject it. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Moema. I will now call to the podium Honorable Walwan of the DA 8 minutes.
Thank you, Speaker. Premier, if I may start my speech informally, if there's one thing that this whole House agrees upon, that we all like Nelson Mandela, and we've all got a quote from him. So I am going to start my speech with that. As the great Nelson Mandela, our Madiba, once quoted, "Do not look the other way. Do not hesitate. Recognize that the world is hungry for action, not words. Act with courage and vision." Close quote. Thank you. And however, now I want to say it, and this budget of ours lacks courage and it lacks vision. It is incredibly small. Premier, through the Speaker, the budget we need to have a look at. Now, I want to start with supply chain management. It is the biggest enabler of corruption on both the provincial and municipal levels. This government is more focused on preferential procurement than providing in-house services or service levels of a higher quality. I want to repeat, we're more worried about preferential procurement than what we are about the actual quality of the service that is provided. Vacancies on both provincial and municipal levels have a knock-on effect in terms of service delivery issues, while cadre deployment and employment of people without the prerequisite qualifications have rendered municipalities unable to provide even the most basic services. Under the Programme 3, the Planning, Performance, Monitoring, Evaluation and Intervention, I also have grave concerns. ICT has become the backbone of all administrations, and yet the recent failure of Microsoft shows how vulnerable this sector is. Research needs to be done on how ICT can become the backbone and enabler that gives life to all the other programs, and that all municipalities of the province should be linked directly into the provincial sphere, so that we can, as the Office of the Premier, we can immediately identify municipalities not delivering basic services. I've sat in many committees where I'm thinking, these guys are spinning a beautiful fairy tale. That's not the reality that's on the ground. So we need an ICT system, be it we go through the Chinese model or we go through the American model, whichever we choose at that stage, but we need an ICT system that works. The Premier needs to guide municipal mayors and municipal managers who currently operate with very few constraints in their respective municipalities. Here I would like to emphasize a statement made in a previous speech by Honorable Sonakile, which to this day holds true. Quote, "The unabated abuse of public funds by officials and the ANC-led government's lack of consequence management have long ago reached epic proportions." Now, this was, close quote, this was said in this House 2 years ago, and we are still there.
Honorable Wolon.
Thank you. Speaker, this budget raises the following questions. How is the Honourable Premier going to change the current focus of certain small issues to a broader base of tackling the real dilemma of poor to almost non-existent service delivery on both provincial and local government levels? How is he going to create a real market economy driven by mining, agriculture, tourism, infrastructure development and maintenance? I repeat, maintenance. How and when will he enable residents of Northwest to get jobs with a long-term salary earning capacity that will enable them to put food on the table, to buy a house or a property, and even buy a car, maybe even go on a holiday? How many people do you know in the last 30 years of democracy that have not even seen the ocean? quality employment will ensure that quality primary, secondary, and tertiary education comes to the forefront of many of the issues that the 7th administration needs to address to bridge the many divides that we have. Speaker, where the DA governs, rebuilding our province as a top tourist province and creating jobs are some of the top priorities. Also, the development of quick response in emergencies and crises. We enable learners to stay in school, rebuilding road infrastructure with unique materials such as rubber and plastic, both waste materials. Creating proper waste management facilities, leading to cleaner rivers, putting an end to crime and corruption, and ensuring water and sanitation for all.
As you conclude.
Thank you. I would have loved another 10 minutes, but as it is, I'm going to cut out half of my speech. I want to conclude with the DA is focused. The DA is focused on bettering the lives of the people and not lining their own pockets.
Members, can we allow Honorable Walwon to finish?
Thank you, Speaker. We as the DA are accepting the current budget of your office, but we implore you to please, for the following 4 years, look at enlarging that budget. We put our trust in your leadership that you will grow the budget for the rest of our term. We give you, as the Premier, the benefit of the doubt and will work robustly, monitoring you and working with you. We do have the same approach. We do have the same approach as the ANC, but the DA feels we can do more and we can do better. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Walwon. Thank you. I will now call to the podium Honorable Tsulo, your 3 minutes. Honorable Tsulo, your 3 minutes.
Honorable Speaker, allow me to stand on the previous protocol and to indicate that the budget speech or vote of the Premier is more convincing and well thought of. And one wonders as to whether this particular well thought of and convincing budget speech, will it be practically implementable as it was presented before us? Similarly, the Office of the Premier, even previously, has never showed providing any leadership, and we know as a fact that the Premier, as the head of the state and his office, as a leading office in government in Northwest Province, should be the one that ensures that the government performs. It should be the one that ensures that it leads the government priorities consolidated within his office. It should be the one that ensures that each and every MECs performs to the APPs that have been set by the department. It is one that should make sure that the state money is appropriately and fugally in ensuring that there are outcomes that are impactful to the lives of the people and the state of affairs as it is now. Northwest is generating to the state of paralysis. Almost every single department is underperforming. Almost every single department is not able to meet its APPs. Almost every single department is engaged in wasteful and fruitless expenditure. There is no accountability. In some instances, there is no consequence management, as it has been alluded to. It is just a mere lip service promises. Let there be tangible actions that are being taken to this particular effect. The Premier also indicated that there will be a Premier Advisory Council with a full plan to be outlined during the SOPA. And in this particular regard, we are urging that there should be independency in this particular council. There should be people who are neutral, people who will be honest in the process
Your
to
time is
advise, and without any fear of any prejudice in terms of what they will be suggesting or forwarding in terms of recommendations to the Premier in this particular regard. The other matter,
Honourable
it is
Zulu,
with regard
your
to
time
the
is up.
organizational structure, Honorable Speaker, to be reviewed for full implementation for the year 2025-2026. Let it not be done for the
Honourable
deployment
Zulu.
purposes and bloating thereof in this particular regard.
Honourable Zulu.
We welcome the repositioning of the Northwest, Honourable
is long
Speaker,
up.
as a destination for investment.
Honourable Zulu.
Honourable members of African National Congress, may you be in
Honourable
order.
Zulu.
You have been given an opportunity to speak and nobody howled at your good
Honourable
selves.
Zulu.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Honourable
They
Zulu.
must behave.
Thank you. Honorable member, I become lenient. When I say the time is up, please respect the speaker. When I say the time is up, respect the speaker. I try to be lenient. You can't proceed when I say the time is up. Honorable member, I will now invite to the podium. Order. I will now invite to the podium Honorable Khosho. Your 10 minutes.
No, thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I think Honorable Tsolo is taking advantage of the time allocation, and we had agreed as parties on how we allocate times. And by the way, we've even donated a minute to MK and other small parties. So we are very generous. So you need not take advantage when you're allowed to be given time to speak, because this has been calculated in terms of the numbers that we have recorded, in terms of the votes of people who have voted for us in the Northwest. So I want to appeal that you respect that time allocation, because we have already donated a minute to you in the 2 minutes that you have. Madam Speaker, let me take this time to appreciate the speeches presented by our Premier. And Madam Speaker, also indicate our trajectory for the people of Northwest, which has always been guided by our appreciation that our people desire in social development, economic growth, the creation of jobs, and the reduction of unemployment, poverty, and inequality. All these are constitutional obligations as enshrined in the Freedom Charter. Accordingly, also, Chapter 2 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, the Bill of Rights, mandates us to cherish basic human rights. We are gathered here, honorable members, as public representatives to discharge our moral responsibility in ensuring that we sustain and characterize the understanding of the National Development Plan and the Provincial Development Plan, where the capacity of the state is central to advance the people's agenda, where priorities of government is clearly understood by each and every public servant, be it a senior manager, middle managers, and general end workers. Therefore, the character of the public service in this current injunction calls for an urgent response to catalyze the people-centered agenda, whereby comprehensive plan to adhere to the People's Manifesto is the order of the day. It is on this important note that we single out the plans of the Office of the Premier enacted in the policy directives such as SOPA injunctions and Makotla resolutions as a blueprint towards fulfilling the promise of the Constitution. As we celebrate the life of Tata Madiba, let's not forget the promises we made to our communities, especially sustaining the gains recorded in the last 30 years of our democracy. However, noting that more still has to be done through a plan that will hold each department, entities, municipalities accountable through the Office of the Premier. In serving Tata Madiba's good deeds, we have no choice but to accelerate services to our people. We promised the electorate equality before the law, social security, water provisioning, quality healthcare and education, job opportunities, safety and security, just to name but a few. Like a baobab tree that provides shelter and a fountain of wisdom, the ANC government is on record as having promise the people a better life for all. The hallmark of the program of action of the ANC government is to ensure that the principle of freedom, human rights and democracy is unironically shared and belongs to all our people, irrespective of status in society. The Office of the Premier, therefore, has to ensure strong capacity where the state of the province addressed in a form of SOPA injunction and Makota resolutions, which outline concrete plans to grow the economy of the province for the benefits of ordinary members of society, and can serve as a testament of achieving better lives of the people. As we progress to interface with the 7th administration, it is important to continuously reflect on the capacity of the state, especially in the Office of the Premier. The good intents of Tunzali Rule, especially the mobile app, has to translate to what forms the turnaround response plan to our communities. This app seeks to enable members of the communities to lodge their complaints pertaining to the service delivery matters in their respective communities. However, the time period, follow-up and feedback remains an important process that will encompass the capacity of the state. Madam Speaker, the state this time will be tested as to whether we are responsive to the complaints of our communities and how Isbatopeli principles is an actionable reality where public servants respond promptly. We want to call on the Office of the Premier to give us or to share with us, especially the Portfolio Committee, the implementation plan of the Provincial Growth and Development Strategy. We surely appreciate, Honorable Premier, that you have moved in the appointment of the Advisory Council. And as the ANC, we commend you for that. It is also important that this council that has been appointed is a fit for purpose as a structure, as a unit. And it should be able to ensure that it transcends the socio-economic development of the people of the province. The Advisory Council must be a structure that underpins its role to advance the people's contract enshrined in the manifesto of the ANC, where it calls for plans that can argue the concepts of service delivery and further demonstrate through the well-articulated growth plan to eradicate poverty and unemployment. Honorable Premier, I've heard you that you are going to a strategic plan. We surely have confidence in you. We have trust in you as the ANC, that you surely ensure that the PGDS becomes a reality to our people. My colleague, my friend, my brother, Honorable Mema, complaining and trying to advise you. By the way, he has just unpacked the manifesto of the African National Congress. Thanks for doing that on behalf of the ANC. We really appreciate that you have. There's no need for us to remind our commitments that we've made to our committees. You have actually unpacked the manifesto of the African National Congress. It's clear that you are a child of the ANC. So we appreciate your articulation. Central to the pillar of the National Democratic Revolution is a solid, strong, sovereign economy whose main objective is to eliminate poverty and radically reduce inequality, further reduce social ills in society. The major strategy to reduce poverty and inequality is to enable the economy to create jobs. These are the core values of the RDP, and they remain the central pillars of the ANC social transformation policy. The manifesto of the ANC calls for creation of an enabling environment where inclusive economy and industrialization policy must restore hope of our communities. And that should be done through investment in people to be self-reliant and to define the gains of our democracy in the last 30 years. The Premier's budget vote does not just demonstrate merely statistical and numerical figures that are outlined. It is primarily about government leadership, a strong will and commitment to advance the cause of human rights and dignity for all people, spearheaded by the principle of developmental state.
As you wrap up, Chief Whip.
The Premier demonstrated that budget vote is about commitment to ensure that state resources are deployed to uplift the downtrodden while stimulating inclusive growth, employment and development within provision of prudent use of available resources. Madam Speaker, I must indicate that as African National Congress, we are happy with the work that the Office of the Premier has done so far in holding all the departments accountable. Honorable members, especially Honorable Solo, or Honorable Teme, you have indicated how ineffective is our departments. It is not true. go to the annual reports of these departments. There's been great improvement in terms of their post-audit action plans, including the Office of the Premier. There's a lot that has been done by the Office of the Department of Provincial Trade to support all the departments, including municipalities, on the work that they are doing. We are confident, members of the Executive Council, with the mandate that you are given by the electorate in the 7th administration, that you will surely touch lives in a different way. The manifesto is outlined. Opposition parties are assisting us to unpack the manifesto. Let's go and make sure that we create opportunities and we have an enabling environment to change the lives of our people. We support the budget presented by the Office of the Premier, led by the Premier himself. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Khosho. I will now call the Premier to come and respond to the debate. 6 minutes, Honorable Premier.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Mafuko wa tlamantla le bile khosing. So ra lebogela. But you see, the role of the Premier's office is to create a capable and a developmental state. That's our primary core. And when we unpack that, our responsibility is to ensure that the government is capacitated, government is professionalized, government is responsive, government is accountable, government put people first. Now, it's important that as we do these things, we should ensure that all the contributions coming from South Africans are accepted. Mr. Warlord.
Warlord.
Oh, I thought you were a warlord. Honorable Warlord, good. Thank you very much. I enjoyed your contribution and your input. I believe that we can have a session and discuss more. Thank you very much. But also, what was said by Honorable Cholo, thank you very much for supporting our views in terms of how we want to move forward. And we believe that on your continuous support. The Honorable Moema, you did very well on your suggestions. I think they are valuable. They are actually ANC. We diratile thata man, re diratile thata. Go a bontsha gore le bana ba ANC. Thank you very much. Chairperson, all what you said, it's noted. We'll make comprehensive reports for your attention. I think they are assisting us. All contributions, Chief Whip, thank you very much. We also take note of all the issues that you raised. But I want to respond to very few of issues that have been raised. The first issue is around the structure. If you listen properly, in the speech I said, our structure, we want to approve it by end of September. And what we said is that the intention that we have uplifted it to that date is to ensure that we effect appointments on our startup or interim structure so that we are able to move with the necessary speed. And if you recall also on my acceptance speech, I made a clarion call that all departments must go and look at their structures, look at all posts which are funded, and they must verify with Treasury in terms of when they say posts are funded. So it is important that that point must be reiterated. Secondly is that the ICT challenges, we are mindful of our ICT challenges. We are intending to take an item to ESCO, our first ESCO, on the issue that speaks to ICT. And when we are there, we want to look at what are appropriate solutions on our ICT challenges. I've also instructed the DG to have a discussions with SITA prior to that first EXCO, so that when we are there, we need to look at all outstanding tasks that relate to SITA and that speaks to challenges around ICT and how can we mitigate and resolve them. The issue around vacancy rates on employment equity. I'm intending to do this to have a proper oversight. We must have this as a standing item in EXCO so that there is proper monitoring and vigilance and strong oversight on these issues of equity.
Conclude, Premier.
Oh. On the PGDS issue, thank you very much, Speaker. We have consulted relevant stakeholders and we are now busy with the stages of editing and for purpose of approval by ESCO. We are also going to take to ESCO the issue that speaks to the forensic coordination unit in the province. And lastly, the issue that relates to collaboration with the Department of Communications and Digital Technology has begun for us to take a rollout broadband infrastructure to all the areas in the province. We have also begun discussions with the department as said above, because already the office is in partnership with the Service and Access Agency on the implementation of the broadband. We are busy in Dr. RSM district municipalities where the IFA will be accessible to our communities. In conclusion, Madam Speaker, the Tunsale Role, we believe strongly, despite all the challenges, that it's a DDM in action. It will make us be able to resolve a lot of service delivery challenges. And we believe that also that through our own SOPA and Makota resolution, we shall always insist on quarterly reports to ESCO to keep this policy pronouncement properly being monitored by ESCO. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Premier. I gave you extra minutes.
Thank you very much for the gesture.
So that you can conclude. Honorable members, I will now read the roll call. I need to say protocol. The roll call, according to our rule 245 subsection 1, to determine the quorum for us to adopt the budget vote of the Premier. Babuile, Bukhatu,
Present.
Butwe, Dabampe,
Present.
Danji, Dial, Honorable Dial,
Present Speaker.
Honorable Dikolomela,
Present, Speaker.
Honorable Groenewald, Honorable Koza,
Present Speaker.
Honorable Kuno,
Present Speaker.
Honorable Lehari,
Present Speaker.
Honorable Lenkopani,
Ketem Musa Khotla.
Honorable Mahachani, Honorable.
Present Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Maine,
Present, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Makokua,
Present, Speaker.
Honorable Mangope, Honorable Mate,
Present Speaker.
Honorable Mudise,
Present Speaker.
Honorable Muema,
Present Speaker.
Honorable Mohono, I'm present. Honorable Mukosi,
Present Speaker.
Honorable Mukua,
Present, Speaker.
Honorable Malapisi,
Present Speaker.
Honorable Mureng,
Present Speaker.
Honorable Musenuchi,
Ketem Musa Khotla.
Honorable Mutsumi, Honorable Khosho,
Present Speaker.
Honorable Sambata, Honorable Sibihwe,
Present Speaker.
Honorable Sonakile,
Present Speaker.
Honorable Sonti,
Dikhona Somlom.
Honorable Steenkamp,
Present, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Stale,
Physically present, Speaker.
Honorable Tapi,
Keteng Musakotla.
Honorable Tsulo,
Present, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Van Heestian,
Present, Speaker.
Honorable Wolhorn,
Present, Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable Williams.
Keteng Musakotla.
Thank you very much, honorable members. I've satisfied myself that we have majority of members in the House to adopt the budget. Now we'll go to the budget program by program. Program 1, Administration, 125,322,000 rand. Does the House agree?
Yes.
Program 2, Institutional Development, 253,589,000 rand. Does the House agree?
Yes.
Program 3, Policy and Governance, 101,225,000 rand. Does the House agree?
Yes.
Thank you very much, honorable members. The budget vote for Office of the Premier 24-25 totaling to 480,136,000 rand is now adopted. The Premier, you can start doing the work. Thank you so much, honorable members. Honorable members, thank you very much. The budget is duly adopted. This brings us to the end of the business of today. This sitting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.